What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So before I get into this video, I want to give a big shout out to the brother BG for the $20 donation to the channel via the PayPal. He leaves a note. He says, "From BG, salute my brother and thanks for the continued great content. Always appreciate how you cook with knowledge, passion, a sense of objectivity, and an understanding of the importance of historical context. Take care. Much respect, BG." Um, I try to be fair, but look, we all have our biases, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm biased in a lot of ways, but I try to be fair, and that's all that you can. That's all that you can try to do, man. Is be fair, and one thing you always can count on me is I try to be balanced in my historical perspective of players. Um, you know what I'm saying? Like I try to honor players of today but also remind younger viewers of the greatness of some of these past players. And it's not that I'm trying to take away from players of today. It's just that I think a lot of players of the past aren't getting their just due. And that's my only objective on here is to um, bring light to some of the greatness of these past players and to enlighten some of these younger fans of players of the past. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, much respect to BG and to anybody who want to show love to his channel. If you choose to, you can do so in the links in the description box below via the PayPal or the Cash App or in the pinned comment in the comment section below. And I will have two new Patreon videos debuting tomorrow. All right, so a lot of content today and tomorrow on YouTube. Um, so look, after today's game, the Boston Celtics will play the Dallas Mavericks. After today's game, the Boston Celtics will retire Kevin Garnett's number 5. Um, I have no issue with this retirement. I believe he played with them for about 6 years. So that's a long enough tenure. The only thing that in the back of my mind that kind of bothers me a little bit, but I understand why they didn't retire his jersey because he didn't play with him enough games. Number 5 is also the number Bill Walton wore when he played with the Boston Celtics from what was it, 1985 to 87, 88. Um, but he did win a world championship. He did win Sixth Man of the Year in 1985, 86. Remarkably, he played in 80 games. A guy that he was just Bill Walton's face should be next to the word injury prone or phrase injury prone. But I can understand why his jersey's not retired in his name and in Garnett. Look, Garnett bleeds green at this point. He truly identifies with the Boston Celtics. He loves that team. They did win a championship. They appeared in 2 NBA Finals, 2008 and 2010. I strongly believe if Garnett had not gotten hurt prior to the start of the 2009 playoffs, they would have went to 3 consecutive finals. I'm not sure who won the finals in 2009. I think that would have been a very close series. 2010, Garnett was so. By that time, Garnett was so deteriorated from injuries. He wasn't the same player that he was just 2 years prior. Um, it's funny. This has been a great last 12 months for Garnett. He's been inducted into the Hall of Fame, right? Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. He's named one of the top 75 greatest players to ever grace the hard court. He has a book out, and now his jersey has been retired. And he just publicly, and I got to do a video about this, he just publicly admitted, finally, that his beef with Ray Allen is over. And I'm so glad that it's over. Remember I did a video Couple, what was it, like 2 days after the ceremony, where it was a picture of Garnett, Allen, and Pierce, and they're smiling, and you hope and pray that it was over. And he says that they're cool, so you know, you know, so that's a good thing. Another thing that's funny is, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if decades from now, when we begin to pass from the scene, Garnett might be more identified as a Boston Celtic than as a Timberwolf. I wouldn't be surprised with that. Even though his best statistical years, his most dominant campaigns, and the majority of his career came as a Timberwolf. But his relationship with the franchise, or should I say the owner, is so bad at this point. You know, I don't know when they'll ever retire his number officially. He's the best player in the history of that franchise. I mean, look, Karl Anthony Towns has done his thing, but Garnett at least took the Timberwolves to postseason appearances, including to what was it, 2004? Was that a? I think that was that a conference finals that they went to against the Lakers in 2004? I sometimes forget whether I always forget whether that was a semifinals or conference finals. I think it was a semifinals that they went to. But anyway, yeah, it was. It was the semifinals. It was the semifinals they went to against the Lakers in 2004. But ultimately they lost. And I think in 2004 in the conference finals they played the Spurs, who were the defending champions. And if memory serves me correctly, the Spurs went up 2-0, but then the Lakers went on to win 4 games in a row and beat them 4 games to 2, including one of those victories, that bullshit ass Derek Fisher .4 second remaining jumper, or whatever the fuck it was. You can't get a shot off in .4 seconds. But anyway, back to Garnett. I think he might be remembered more as a Celtic, man, 50, 60 years from now. Because people identify with championships and winning and all that. And look, the 2008 Finals MVP was Paul Pierce, rightfully so. But in my opinion, the X factor in that series was Pau Gasol, that matchup, Pau Gasol versus Kevin Garnett, and how much he dominated that matchup in 2008. In 2010, the roles were pretty much reversed. Pau Gasol had uh, dominated. He dominated Kevin Garnett in that series, rebounding, scoring, and that was just enough to tip the scale in the Lakers' favor. So, my thing is this, man. I think that Garnett's a great player. I think he's top 2025. I think he was a 15-time All-Star, one of the greatest players in the history of the sport. In his best years, man, I mean, he was a stat line stuffer, but it was impactful numbers. I mean, he'd give you 22 points, he'd give you 13 rebounds, he'd get you 2 blocks, 2 steals, he'd get you 4 assists. He'd give you a rim rattling dunk. He had the mid range. He had the jumper out to 20 feet. Occasionally could step out behind the 3-point line. Um, a monster on the defensive end. In 2007, 2008, Defensive Player of the Year award winner. Awesome player, man. So much respect to Kevin Garnett on having this jersey retired. Man, are we all getting old? Tell me what you guys think.